I invested in coaching. I invested a lot of money in coaching me to help me be better, to help me be and develop in the way I wanted to develop myself as a career and in life. So that was a key investment. Another key investment was in coaching training. Although I think too many coaches spend too long chasing training and chasing certificates and chasing letters after their name and don't focus enough on actually coaching.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host Rexhen, and today's guest is Neil Thubron, an executive coach, sales performance expert, and founder of Thubron Coaching and Consultancy, where he helps leaders and teams push beyond limits to achieve extraordinary results in both business and life. With over 30 years of experience spanning corporate leadership and the British Army and extreme endurance challenges, Neil blends strategic acumen with deep coaching insight to drive lasting transformation. He's led global sales teams to billion-dollar targets, built multiple businesses, and coached hundreds of executives using his signature 7P formula for success, a framework rooted in purpose, resilience, and real-world leadership. It's a pleasure for me to have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Rexhen, thank you very much. What an amazing intro. Sounds like a really interesting person. I look forward to meeting him.
Well, I'm looking forward to speaking with him too, and I appreciate him coming to the podcast today. So
my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neil. I wanted to ask you, when it comes to your beginnings, and this is going to be probably an interesting story, when speaking of you and looking at like when we went through the intro as well, what pushed you or what inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business? It seems like you have a pretty interesting background.
Yeah, my passion for coaching, I guess, started when I was a manager and leader in a large corporate. And I found that I really enjoyed developing people within my team and people who came to me for career advice or came to me for support. And I trained as a coach while I was in corporate life. And then I went to a Tony Robbins event. And suddenly, I realized this world of coaching that existed. And I started coaching professionally and charging for coaching back in 2008, 2009. So originally it started with me as a manager, leader, mentor within a large organization. And then I went on to become a professional coach. And my desire has always been to enable people to achieve more than they think is possible themselves.
It's been about like 19 years with Thubron Coaching and Consultancy, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Since I set it up, yeah.
So throughout these years and going through the coaching journey with your clients, what is it about it that you find most rewarding since you started doing this?
The most rewarding thing is when you see someone break through a limiting belief or stepping outside of their comfort zone and achieving something that they never thought they could achieve. And that might be a professional goal, or it might be a personal goal. It might be a relationship goal. It could be it, but it's something, the moment when they get that feeling, that overwhelming emotion that they have just broken through something that was holding them back. And a great example, I had a call the other day from one of my clients who I've been working with for a long time. He works in a large corporate. He's I guess a senior vice president. And he phoned me up to say, look, I've just been selected for this very small group of executives that are on a special fast track program. And he said, the only reason I'm there is because of your coaching. And that makes it all worthwhile when that happens.
Interesting. So when thinking about your clients, how would you describe the ideal client profile that you typically work with? We know we're working with executives and leaders, but do you think that they come from a certain industry, certain demographics, certain goals that they have in common? How would you describe it?
I think that there is no common thread when it comes to industry, age, gender. The common theme is they know they're frustrated, uncomfortable where they are today, and they want to be somewhere else. They have ambition, they have drive to want to be somewhere else, but they're not sure how to get there. So, I love working with most of the people, because the reason people come to me is because I bring a level of energy, passion, and belief in achieving things that are big goals, big achievement, because I've done that myself. So when someone wants to achieve something significant, it might be a business owner. I work with a couple of business owners, and what they want to achieve is getting themselves out of the business so that they can focus on growing the business rather than running the business. Now, that sounds simple, but that's a whole mindset change. That's building a management system. That's building the right team and having the trust around you. So the common three, in answer to your question, what I find is common of the people who kind of get attracted to me and work with me are those that have that itch they want to scratch, and they're ready for that ambitious step to the next stage in their career or their life or whatever it might be.
Interesting. So for all of those that are listening, how would you describe the engagement that they have with you? Is there a certain program of a certain length? I think it's also customized because leaders are so different from each other, but how would you describe the engagement they have working with you?
Yeah, and it does vary a lot because everybody turns up at a different stage in their journey. So, I do have packages. What I don't do is different to other coaches is I don't say, here's a package of 6 coaching sessions for us to work on. We work on a monthly basis, and we work as intensely as we need to get started, to get them moving and get the momentum. And then we work in a supportive way to make sure they stay on track and they overcome the humps and bumps that they get to on the journey. So I've got some clients I've worked with for 2 years and I'm still working with them. And I have other clients who get to where they need to get to in 3 months. Mm-hmm. So it does vary, but I'm incredibly flexible with the packages I put in place with clients. It's just a monthly agreement based on intensity that they need at that time.
So there's no minimal amount of time that you feel an executive or leader would need to kind of see that lasting change?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there is a minimum, I think, which is 6 months. If you want to see a transformation, to get to know each other and then do real work, I think it needs 6 months. I've not seen really significant transformation in less than that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably the minimum, yeah.
Cool, interesting. So right now, where do these executives or these leaders find you? Is there a marketing channel that you find is working very well for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a question because I actually coach coaches as well on helping them develop their practice because I'm 10 years into just doing this outside corporate life and I've been reasonably successful. And so I help other coaches. The reality is I don't think there's one answer to how clients find you. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of networking. I spend a lot of time talking to people and networking. I have a number of different ways that I engage with companies as well. So they get to find me. So that might be through developing their sales organization, leadership workshops, and they typically will lead to coaching engagements. A year ago, I started working with a marketing agency doing some LinkedIn outreach. And that's been very successful in bringing in one-to-one coaching. So yeah, that's kind of, and then just LinkedIn is the only social media platform we use. We do have an email database as well, but it's kind of that multiple entries in networking and some outreach on LinkedIn.
So all of the coaches that I've, not all, but like a good part of the coaches that I've interviewed are a little bit wary when it comes to going on LinkedIn and doing the cold outreach. How would you describe that strategy? How does it work so well? Because we've seen it work well in ourselves with also with the podcast but how do you see it working in your side? Is there some sort of strategy, automation, anything you could share?
I just work with a really good agency actually, who are really good at doing the connections and the outreach. They're not automated; they're offshore, so they're not UK based. I think one of the things I find when I'm working with coaches is they've got this nervousness around LinkedIn and what will people think of me if I'm outreaching. So, am I going to appear desperate? Am I going to appear needy?
Mm-hmm.
And I quite often, I just have to work with them and say, look, just get over yourself. At the end of the day, the people, and I've had these conversations with people, yeah, but there was this person I went to school with and they're on LinkedIn. And if they see me outreaching, they're going to think I haven't been successful. And that's going to, it's like, just, you got to get over yourself and recognize that they don't care about you. They don't care. That person at school that you want to impress, honestly, they probably don't even remember you. So, think about yourself and what you want rather than what other people think. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, and this again is so important, what is the reason we are coaching anyway? We're coaching because we want to help people. We're coaching because we want to help people achieve more, to develop themselves, to help them out of toxic career environments that they're in and help them into other. So if you're outreaching to try and help people, then why wouldn't you do it? So I think it's a mindset shift that I work with other coaches on, that you have to get over yourself and go, I'm doing this because my intentions are good for the right reasons to help the people I'm trying to connect with.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely there needs to be a mindset shift when you think about it, because it's always seen as this bad thing, just like you mentioned. It's like, I want to be that type of coach. I don't want go and begging people to come to work with me, or it feels like you're not really begging. You're just like reaching out with value. You're not really saying, hey, please come join my coaching.
Correct. Yeah. I'm a Tony Robbins disciple. I'm a massive fan of Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. Tony Robbins is all over LinkedIn and every other social media platform. And is he desperate for work? No, not at all. He doesn't have to work ever again in his life. He's desperate to help as many people as possible as he can. And that's what drives me is, if there's one person I connect with who I've never met before, who I can help, and they wouldn't have found me if I hadn't outreached, then I'm very happy, So it is a mindset shift.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And so right now with your coaching business, what is the goal that you're working towards for the next 1 to 3 years? Is there a certain goal you're trying to solve?
That's a bigger question than you probably realize, actually, Rexhen.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm going through a bit of a mindset shift and a dilemma as well. So part of me is I love coaching between 5 and 8 people is typically what I'll coach at any one time. And then part of me is, look, I need to grow this because then I can help more people. How am I going to help more people? So I am launching a group coaching program, which is starting in September. And that's really to help people who might not be able to afford one-to-one coaching in a career. It's career coaching. It's career transition coaching in a small group of 6 people. So that's one of my development areas, is to try group coaching and see if I can help people in a different way than one-to-one. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I'm doing is, there are many great coaches out there. I know there are many great coaches out there that really struggle to find coaching clients. So the other thing that I'm developing as well is I've got a reasonably good marketing outreach structure now. My next step is for me to find clients for these coaches that I really respect so that I can match client and coach. So basically create a coaching business where I'll still do coaching. I'll be the principal coach, I guess you'd call it. And then I'll have associate coaches that work with me so I can then serve more people.
So One thing about the marketing strategy with the outreach that is working really well for you, is that like kind of like the first offer that you're thinking of doing, kind of teaching the right way of doing that mindset shift for anyone who thinks that's not the right way to go about it, and maybe beyond that, not just the outreach?
No, so I'm not thinking about teaching coaches how to find clients. I'm thinking of what I'm going to do is I'm going to find clients for the coaches, so they don't have to do that mindset shift. I'll do it for them.
I see. Okay, cool. So it's more of like, I'll do it for you than do it together with you.
Yeah, I'll find you the clients, and I'll bring them in, and then we'll work out which is the best coach to allocate this client to.
Interesting. That's a really interesting way of finding. So, and then you'd kind of like work with them in kind of like a percentage share, and it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Thank you. So yeah, actually, you're right. It is a bigger question than I thought, but I like the goals. I like the goals that you have, and interesting that you're also thinking about going into group coaching, but for career, not for executives. Do you feel like that with the executives would not work?
Okay, that's a good question. So no, the reason I'm doing it is because a lot of the people I'm connecting with on the outreach at the moment, I would say 90% coming into the conversation because they are unhappy in the role they're in today, or they are looking at how can they develop themselves for the next role, or they're at a stage in life where they're looking at how do I come out of working for someone else and work for myself. So I'm finding that there's probably 90% of people that I'm having that I'd kind of do half-hour free coaching sessions. 90% of the people I'm talking to, there's a career transition in there. So that's why I'm focusing on it. Is, as I said, that not everybody can afford the one-to-one coaching. So by doing it as a group, it makes it more affordable and more accessible to more people.
Absolutely interesting. So you've kind of found that there is a market for it, like while doing your outreach.
Yes.
So I also wanted to ask you in terms of investments throughout the years, what have been some investments you feel like you're very proud of that have been very good on return? I can imagine the marketing agency too, and what are some investments that you feel like maybe I shouldn't have put my money there, I just wasted my time?
Okay. Yeah. So I like that. Great question. So the best investment I ever made, I guess there's two big investments. The number one investment is having an executive assistant. Absolutely. 10 years ago when I set up, I brought in an executive assistant, and she is priceless. I could not do what I do, scale the way I scale, if it wasn't for her. Second thing is, I invested in coaching. I invested a lot of money in coaching me to help me be better, to help me be and develop in the way I wanted to develop myself as a career and in life. So that was a key investment. Another key investment was in coaching training. Although I think too many coaches spend too long chasing training and chasing certificates and chasing letters after their name and don't focus enough on actually coaching. But I do think there is a certain level of investment you need to do in yourself. I think the worst investment, some of the marketing stuff I've done over the years, I've spent a fortune on marketing, on websites, on that kind of activity. Yeah, a lot of that. The problem is, and again, I've learned this, unless you're an expert in the marketing space, and what I did was hire a fractional marketing director to work with me to help me build a strategy and then execute that strategy. You end up spending money on stuff with no strategy behind it. So it kind of goes all over the place. So I think that's probably, I can't think of anything else where I've kind of thought that was a bad investment. But so no, EA, coaching training, and then worst investments, probably some of the marketing stuff I've done.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing all of this. And I feel like even from our research, I did mention that we did a research last year.
Yeah.
And to give you a preview of that, when it comes to investments that we saw were not good investments, and investments we saw that were very good investments, for us, the very good investments were in coaching, in coaching for whatever you needed coaching on, hiring another coach, either be that business coach, mindset coach, whatever it was that you needed coaching on, that was one of the best investments. The worst investment for coaches, and you kind of touched a little bit upon it, was certifications.
Yeah.
Now, we were measuring these in terms of like return on that investment. And certifications specifically did not, or let's say the clients that, if they were working with individuals, the clients didn't even know that there is like a certification that you're doing, or like they didn't care that much that you have that title on your LinkedIn or like that certification that you've done.
Correct.
It didn't matter that much for clients.
Correct.
The only case where the certifications came into play, or accreditations as well, is when certain companies, if you're working with companies, they do require you to have them if they want to hire you to work with their executives or work with their team. Certain companies do ask for it upfront.
Some do. Yeah, you're right. And I've been coaching since 2000 and getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've coached hundreds of executives and leaders. I have never, ever been asked for a certificate or a qualification. Never. Because they're buying me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I am there and trying to help. And every single person I've ever worked with is also a reference. And I always connect people to people
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with so they can learn what it's like to work with me.
Yeah. And these certifications, they're not cheap either. So it's not like some small investment in them.
No, I think, but it's easy to hide behind I'm going on this course. I'm going to get this qualification. I'm going to get this,
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to, again, I do coach a lot of coaches and try and help them that just say, just get out there and start coaching, get out there and start selling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go and do some certification in the future, but you don't need it to start selling yourself now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's just like they feel like maybe they're not enough right now. So it could be there a mindset shift required to like stop, like you don't need training anymore. At this point, you got it.
Correct. Just if you care about the person on the screen in front of you or sitting in front of you, you'll find a way of helping them.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, when thinking about your goals as well, like going group coaching and helping people in careers that can afford to do one-on-one coaching and like finding clients for coaches, that is like a completely different business model. Where do you see the challenge right now? What is a challenge that you're trying to solve for next?
The challenge I'm trying to solve for, because I think that there's two things in what I heard you say. There's the what am I trying to solve for? Actually, is just it's my mindset and me being okay with letting other people coach clients that I find. So I've got to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people I'm working with, I do trust them. So I know they'll do a good job. So that's one of the things I've got to overcome is that mindset of letting other people do the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest challenge in the work out there for coaches, though, is there's just so many. There's so many people who are going on executive coaching courses, getting executive coaching qualifications, and it's very confusing for customers, for people who are looking for coaches. But there's just so many people out there. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges is being able to establish yourself as a business.
Interesting. And you see this as a challenge as well, because you are going to go out and find clients for these coaches. You need to kind of like differentiate them, just like you've done differentiating yourself over these years. So that is an interesting challenge.
Yeah, and I think there's space there, right? I look at what Tony Robbins has done, Vishen Likiani has done. They've built coaching businesses with multiple coaches within them,
Mm-hmm.
and they create a brand and they create great content. I'm not looking to be anywhere near as big as those guys, but I want to try and help coaches connect with clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's what's driving me.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that. So the final question is a beautiful one, I think, for you is, what advice would you give to other coaches, just like yourself, who are looking to scale their impact?
Yeah, I think the key is, and this, all the coaches listening to this will know this, is it's not what we know, and we're not trying to help our clients by telling them what to do. And what we're trying to help our clients with, and if I relate to the biggest impact I ever had in when as I've been coached, it was just someone asked me a great question. And my coach, I had the same coach for 5 or 6 years. She was amazing at asking great questions that made me go deep into myself, into my unconscious, into my soul. So I think for coaches to really have an impact, it's asking that great question at the right time.
Interesting. Well, that's how I because I'm not a coach myself, I feel like that's how I've gotten to understand coaching, is sometimes asking that right question that could make a person think kind of differently, or not think about something that they've been thinking all the time, and just like unlock that, oh, wow, I haven't thought about that. And yeah.
Exactly. I'll give you an example. So the most impactful question I was ever asked, and it changed my life. I was in a coaching session with this lady who I worked with for many years, outstanding coach. I turned up to a session without really much to talk about. I hadn't really thought about what I wanted to talk about. I'd been busy, and she just said to me, she said, let's just take a helicopter view back as to how you're doing on your goal. So my goal was, I had a 5-year plan to get to a place I wanted to get to where I had freedom. I had the freedom of choice over what I did, who I did it with, etc. So we did this helicopter view, and she just said, I'm curious, what would be different in, I think it was 2.5 years' time. What would be different in 2.5 years' time than you have now? And I thought, what a great question. It made me think, I thought, actually, I choose who I work with. I choose when I work. I choose how I work. I've actually achieved my 5-year goal now. And honestly, I had tears in my eyes, because it was this overwhelming feeling of, but that question was the right question at the right time. And, I've achieved my 5 years goal in 2.5 years. And so that's how coaches have impact, is by asking great questions at the right time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you for coming to our podcast. For anyone who wants to connect with you or reach out to you, they can go into LinkedIn, Neil Thubron, and they will be able to find your profile. There's also, I feel like there's a website, neilthubron.com.
Correct. Yeah.
That one. And is there any other way people could connect with you or reach out to you?
No, I mean, those are the best ways of connecting with me, through the website, through LinkedIn. And yeah, I'd love to talk to anyone who wants to connect.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you for coming.
That's a pleasure. Thanks, Rexhen. That's been really good conversation. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.